darkest time. I can't deny what I see, what I see. We will rise. I can't deny what I see, what I see. In the darkest time. I can't deny what I see, what I see. We will rise. In the darkest time. We will rise.
This is the rhythm of change.
In the darkest time.
This is the sound of redemption.
We will rise.
This is the way that we bring it.
In the darkest time.
This is the way that we bring it down.
We will rise.
Down, down,
I
down.
can't deny what I see, what I see.
Down, down, down. Down, down,
I
down.
can't deny what I see, what I see.
Down, down, down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom.
We will,
These are the things that will bring it down.
we will rise.
Down, down,
I
down.
can't deny what I see, what I see.
Down, down, down. Down, down,
I
down.
can't deny what I see, what I see.
Down, down, down.
We will rise.
So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud.
We will
Let's
rise.
bring it down. Let's bring it way down.
We will rise.
Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down.
We will rise.
Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down.
In the darkest time.
Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down.
In the darkest
Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down.
We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. Come on. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Yo, Vincent, I thought that was hot, man. I can't deny why I feel what I feel in the darkest times, but we will rise. I want you guys to, I can't deny why I feel what I feel. So when we talk, Vincent, about white privilege and we talk about white fragility and all those things, right? And they say to foundational Black Americans, why do you feel like that? And then we've been suppressing how we feel, right? We try to suppress it, right? We try to ignore the realities of the day, right? And so when I talked to my brother about remixing this and he listens to the show, he said he wanted to encapsulate the moment. And encapsulating it, the idea is I can't and I won't. And, you know, and maybe it should be not I can't deny. Well, you know what? So if I say I won't deny, that's different, right? I can't means that no matter how much I try, I can't do it, right? It's impossible for me to do. As opposed to saying I won't, meaning that you can, but you won't. He's saying it is so upon us what's going on right now that no matter what, I can't deny why I feel what I feel in the darkest times. But we will rise. And we'll rise by doing what? By bringing it down. Yo, dude, I'm on fire this morning, Vincent. I feel good.
I can tell. It's like you had 3 cups of coffee already.
2.5. 2.5. Yeah, man. But I appreciate my brother for doing it. You know, I think I told you, man, he's a brilliant guy, man. He taught himself how to play 3 musical instruments, and taught himself how to produce, taught himself how to do almost everything that he's doing now with his life. It's just a brilliant guy. So I thank him, and I hope you guys get something out of it. If you want the entire song, let me know, and I'll get it to you. He's working with a record company now, and producing music for them. And so a lot of these will be available, right? But anyway, happy belated Easter. Is that it?
Yes. It was 2002, over 2021 years ago, the day that Christ had died. And he was, in fact, now they're taking religion out of time. The only being on this earth who was actually anointed with time was Christ, Jesus the Christ. So now they no longer say AD or after the death of Christ. Now they say after his experience or something like that. So
after his experience, an entanglement. Wait! Did he do the red table too?
Well, what he got was the number you have reached.
That's right. Was he with Jada Pinkett too? The red table, the entanglement. After the entanglement, after the situation, right?
After the situation with Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you know that thing that had happened. You know.
We regret our involvement or lack of involvement.
Gosh. Well, listen, man. I told you the thrill for me for Easter is today. Because when the show is over, I will hit Walgreens and I'll get the malted eggs at 75% off.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. All of that overstock that they have, I get it for 75% off. And then I freeze them. I buy my...
For next year?
No. I wish I had the discipline that they would last me until next year. They probably last until I could probably extend it until June.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I like discipline when it comes to the malted eggs, man. I like sucking that outer coating off, right, and then it kind of coats your tongue with that chalky kind of color. All right, and then it softens up the malt on the inside, and then you crunch that. Or sometimes I just press it between the roof of my mouth and my tongue. I got different techniques depending upon the mood I'm in, you know. And then if I'm real anxious, I just bite them. I just chew them, you know. But I'll be able to. I'll have a supply enough to try, to perfect the techniques I currently use and to learn new techniques. Yo, so check this out. You know how I've said that Amina is the neighborhood cat lady?
Yes. The joy of your life?
Yes. Well,
Yes.
she's on a vacation right now. She went to go visit family down in Hilton Head. You know where I'm going with this, Vincent.
I know where you're going.
So she boarded a plane yesterday. I took her, and she was masked up, man. She had the N95 mask on, then she had an outer mask on, and then I bought her a face shield. So she had all of that going into the airport yesterday, and it made me wonder, why go? You gotta do all of that. Why go? Right? But anyway. So she had a safe journey down there to see her siblings, and she'll be back in a few days. But as she exited the vehicle at the airport, she said, "Hey, Bubba, would you mind feeding the cats in the backyard?" Now, I kind of felt stuck. Right? Like, what was I gonna say? No. So I felt drafted. Right? I felt like I was drafted. Like I didn't have a choice. And so she gave me a list of instructions on how to take care of these stray cats. So for the next couple days, it's a part of my responsibility, my chores, and so
on your list.
It's on my list of things to do. Well, let's start off with Malcolm first. So Malcolm is probably one of the most spoiled cats I know. He's got a I think like an insecurity issue, which I think is attached to the fact that he was abandoned, he and his siblings, when they were kittens, right? The people who were caring for him, they moved out of the apartment they were in and left the cats. That happens far too often, right? Because, if you're renting, this place allows you to have pets, the next place you go doesn't allow you to have pets. And instead of folks doing the responsible thing, and you could just go to like Petco, or there are phone numbers that you could call, and they'll come in and they'll rescue the cats for you. You don't have to just leave them there. But they left Malcolm and his siblings in his apartment, and some of the neighbors heard the meowing, and then they called, and so the cats were rescued. So that's how Amina found Malcolm. She went to the rescue place and adopted Malcolm. So Malcolm apparently suffered some trauma. And so Malcolm's eating habits are such that he wants you in the kitchen when he's eating. So you can pour his food, and if you leave, he'll leave too, and he won't eat. So you have to come in. It's crazy, Vincent. And so you have to be there while he eats. So Amina, she does her yoga and all that stuff and brings his cat food and his water and everything where she's doing her yoga. And then he'll eat while she's doing yoga, and he'll eat while she's doing these things. But what has happened, because I think that maybe you would have been able to break him from that if you kind of weaned him little by little. But she reinforced it, right? And I'm not saying it's not a matter of being a bad or good thing, right? It is just a habit. So she reinforced it, and she enjoys it, right? She enjoys the company while she's doing her yoga, that Malcolm is there. So the two of them are kind of feeding off of each other's energy, and that works. But I don't have the time to do that. And so, like literally, when I came home yesterday, and the other thing that Malcolm does is when Amina comes home, and he can hear the difference between us, right? So when she comes in, he will run downstairs and he'll sit at the door as she's coming in, and he'll meow meow until she opens the door proper into the house. And then, he comes and rubs on her, and she pets him and, just shows him all kinds of attention. Well, when I came home after dropping her off at the airport, he didn't come downstairs. Because because he knew it wasn't her. Right?
Separation anxiety.
Separation anxiety. So he didn't come downstairs. I don't know where he is in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I didn't see him all yesterday. So I dropped off at 8 o'clock in the morning. And literally, I didn't see him all day. And then maybe around 10 o'clock last night, I'd gone down to get a glass of water. And because I was in the kitchen, he ran downstairs. And, I could see him, and I could see he hadn't touched any of his food. So I kind of stayed down there for a little while, and he ate a little bit. And then he went back upstairs. Or went wherever he went. Mm-hmm. And then this morning when I came downstairs, I noticed that he had vomited a little bit by his food. So I'm thinking, like you said, separation anxiety, right? All of that is now happening with him. So, I texted Mina and I said, Malcolm is stressed. And so he did come down while I was making my coffee. And so I cleaned up the area around his bowls. And I put new food in and his wet food and everything. And he ate just a few. And then he disappeared. And so that was around 6, 7 o'clock. And I haven't seen him since.
Well, I think Malcolm gets the feeling that, between you and Amina, you're not his favorite person.
Well, you know what? No, not that. Well, maybe. No, certainly I'm not his favorite person. But I'm also a different kind of person, right? So I am not, I won't shower him with that kind of attention that she does, right? I just don't. I mean, I will accommodate him. I'll feed him. I'll clean his litter box. I'll give him water. I'll do those things. I even give him treats. And, she's got the feather toy. I play with him with that for a little while sometimes. And she's got the laser toy, and I do that. But she spends time with him as though he were a child, like a baby, like I guess like a real part of the family, and I just don't, I don't, and he notices that, right, and so he and I got to work through it over the next couple days so that when she comes back, he's not completely emotionally damaged.
Before the lines of social interaction between you and Malcolm and Amina was that Amina was the nurturer and you were the provider in terms of caregiver. So now the both of you, with Amina gone, are dealing with some separation anxieties, but you're trying to find your way to coexist with one another, and you're both missing that care and protection. So maybe you and Malcolm can have a little powwow. Just you two get together, have a man's day, you know what I mean? Drink some scotch, have a cigar.
Right, I have a cigar, give him some catnip, right?
Yeah,
give him a little catnip, right?
Yeah, talk about missing mommy and, move on with your lives.
Yeah, so, but then the cat's outside. That's a whole nother ordeal.
Oh.
So right now there's 7 cats outside.
Oh.
And so she sends me instructions. She says, I need you to open up 5 cans of cat food. I put it in one bowl, then take it outside and distribute that into 6 bowls. Okay, got it. Then she said, then you'll see by the back door, you'll see 2 pink cups. I fill both of those pink cups with dry food. And then I take those out and I distribute those into 4 bowls.
Okay.
Right? So immediately I changed the process.
Oh, here we go.
No. So I'm saying, why are you taking 2 pink cups? Right? Why not take one receptacle that holds 2 pink cups worth of food? That way I don't have to occupy both hands. Right? Mm-hmm. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I couldn't find one, but we have those big, like squarish kind of water bottles, the filter water bottles. So we had an empty one. So I cut the top off of it and it gave a perfect receptacle. And then I dumped 2 pink cups worth of food in that. And then I could just take that one thing out. Right? That was just more efficient. So I did that. And then I get outside and I'm on the phone with one of my best friends. And at the same time that I'm doing this, he is caring for his sister's dog, and he's not a dog person. So we're lamenting with one another, Vincent. He's like, I got this dog for 3 weeks now because my sister's going through some stuff, and I'm taking care of this dog. I got to get dressed. I got to walk this dog. This dog, he's got like it's a labradoodle.
Okay, yeah, they're cute.
Right. So the dog wants to jump up on the bed, jump up on his lap, and so then he finally told me, he said, Eric, after all of these weeks, he said, I'm breaking down now, and I'm realizing this dog is training me.
Duh.
So he said, I'm out. He said, now I got water in the refrigerator for him. So when we come back from the walk, he's got cold water to drink. And, I'm buying all these different treats and toys. And he said, I looked at my house and I'm saying to myself, I'm not a dog person. I said, well, you're turning into a dog person. Right before his eyes. So I'm out there with these cats, Vincent. And I'm telling him, I'm looking at the receptacles that she's putting the dry food and the wet food in, and they're just like the little deli containers that you get your coleslaw from the supermarket. And so I'm like, well, if you're gonna do this, why not get like proper outdoor bowls for the cats? If because this isn't like a one-time thing. She does this every day. So guess what I do? I go on Amazon and I order cat bowls. Right? So he's laughing at me. He's like, "Are you kidding me, Eric?" I'm like, "No, I ordered these like silicone. It was a set of 16 for $15, so they were like $1 a piece. Yeah. But they look nicer in the yard too, right? And I said, then they could be color coded, and you could have the water in those, you could have the dry food in those, and you could have the wet food in those. So I may be turning into a cat person before his eyes. I don't know.
And see, you both are now just basically realizing one thing of all pet lovers. It doesn't matter the nature of the pet, be it male or female or dog or cat or bird. It's the simple fact that when you start caring for pets, they have a way of showing unconditional love. And that love is reciprocating. That's why people are pet lovers and treat them like family.
I don't need no more love in my life.
If I could quote the Beatles, Eric, all you need is love.
All I need is love. Or maybe what? Maybe I'll pipe that out in the backyard. All you need when I go feed him in the morning. All you need is love. Love, love is all you need, right?
Love is all you need.
Yes. So listen, Vincent, I'm gonna beat up on you this morning.
Oh, Eric, listen.
I listen.
Squire gets into these bouts on a regular. So listen, if you're in line for it, you're the next one. Let's get ready. Go ahead.
So, I told you I banned MSNBC in the house, right?
Yeah.
But Amina got it on the car radio.
Yeah.
So when I went out this morning to run some errands, it was playing, and I didn't turn, and so I was listening to it. And here was the topic.
You do know that Jody's going to be upset with you for taking her job.
No, I'm sure Jody's listening, and Jody's going to call in. But here's the topic.
Okay.
Everybody is upset, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be, at what's going on in Georgia. And these other bills, right? These proposed, bills that are being proposed, right, for voter that will suppress. And then one of the things that I have said from day one is voter suppression occurs in blue states. I talked about that. I said voter suppression occurs in blue states. I know because I've worked elections. I've worked elections where there's been voter intimidation, right? Where poll workers have been threatened, voters have been threatened, campaign workers from the opposing side have been beaten up literally beaten up. In the 2014 election, right? There was a video of the current chief of staff of the city of Newark hitting a woman, a young lady, right? Because she was tearing down posters. But the other side was tearing down posters too, right? So they were both engaging in the same activity, but the chief of staff, the current chief of staff, was a guy, right? And felt that he could impose himself on this young lady. And so he did. And according to the video, right, he hit her. And I was called several times because I was working on the opposing campaign. I was called several times from the campaign office to go and rescue campaign workers who were being chased. Literally. So I'm not making this up. And so when I say voter intimidation, so when you now have the mayor, right, that mayor or other mayors, because it happens, I can tell you every black mayor that I know in New Jersey knows that their campaigns engage in voter intimidation and voter suppression, right? Whether they're intimidating by way of having what they call captains in the senior citizen buildings, right? Yes. Who eavesdrop. You know what I'm talking about, right, Vincent? Who eavesdrop on the other seniors to see who they're going to vote for, right? And then they threaten them by saying that either they will be moved out of their apartments or denied resources, right? And they all know this is going on. So these are the same ones who were shaking their fingers and heads at Republicans saying that they're engaging in voter suppression and voter intimidation. Meanwhile, these people, black people in these blue states or blue municipalities, are subjected to voter intimidation and voter suppression every election. Every election, right? So when I was listening to MSNBC in the car, so when Amina comes back from her vacation, we're going to talk about banning it from the car. I was successful in banning it from the house. But the silver lining in that storm was that I heard Joe Scarborough and somebody else who was on there talking about the fact that New York and New Jersey have worse voter suppression than Georgia. That's what they said today. They said the laws that were just passed in Georgia are not as bad as what is currently on the books in New York and New Jersey. I'm going to say that again. So for all of the screaming and hollering by everybody about what's going on in Georgia, they said on MSNBC, nonetheless, that whatever's going on in Georgia is not as bad as New York and New Jersey. See, Jody just said bingo. There you go.
Let's start. Okay. Well, first...
Hold on one second, Vincent. Hello?
Hello. This is an appointment reminder call from New...
Okay. That was for my vaccine tomorrow. Go ahead.
Okay. So let me start by making two statements.
Yep.
First, I'm not a watcher of MSNBC.
Okay. Do you deny that what I said is true?
Wait.
Okay.
And second, I agree with you. I mean, keep in mind, I ran for office twice. And I've seen the suppression. I've seen the intimidation. I've gotten videotapes of people taking down my sign.
So then let me ask you this question. If we know this, if you know this...
Wait a minute, I got one more for you.
Uh-huh.
I got a poll worker and a witness where the poll worker told her that she couldn't vote for me because I was a Republican and she was a Democrat, and this was a general election.
Right, but what I'm getting at is this. This is what I'm getting at, and this is the maximum sophisticated confusion. Right, we're going to break this down. So here's the maximum sophisticated confusion. It's all over the news about voter suppression.
Yes.
When it's Republicans. Right?
Right.
But is voter suppression the issue, or are Republicans the issue?
No, it's not a Republican or a Democratic thing.
No, it shouldn't be. But what I'm asking you,
what I'm telling you, Eric, is this. So please listen. What the issue is that right now the focus is on white on black crimes, which is what the Republicans are doing to the Democrats. What we're talking about is generally a black on black crime. We're talking about black run, black politicians intimidating black people so that they can stay in power. That's why it goes rampant in these Democratic or in these blue states.
so I got to interrupt for 2 seconds, 1 second, and I want you to continue this. This is just a side note. So my brother Andre Little, assalamu alaikum, my brother. He posted in the thread, please don't take the vaccine. I've already taken the 1 shot, and I'm due to take the second shot on the 7th. So not tomorrow, but on Wednesday. But anyway, go ahead.
So that is the main focus and issue. And here is the killer part about it. In terms of those black people who are being intimidated and attacked by these white, by these black politicians, who do they go to? The people who are intimidating are the people who hold the power in the office.
Right. So what I'm getting at is this, because we always have these conversations about Republicans and Democrats and what Biden is doing and how Biden walks on water, or how Obama walked on water, or how these Democrats are doing this, that, and the other, and how the Republicans are really bad, and how we need to vote out Republicans and vote in more Democrats. But if we're now saying, and we can agree, right, that in these blue states, these deep blue states, right? I don't know what are you doing?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. In these deep blue states, you've got greater voter suppression than you do in this one state that has garnered all of this press. Right? We should be looking side-eye at all of the news and at all of the Democrats who haven't spoken a damn word about the voter suppression in New York and in New Jersey, and say, well, wait a minute.
But here's another point, Eric. Even though what you're talking about is more voter intimidation than voter suppression.
No, wait a minute. What is voter suppression? It's something that you do that prevents people from wanting to go to bring down the vote.
Voter suppression is the actual legislation.
No, it's not. It can be done through legislation, but it can be done other ways as well. Right? At the end of the day, voter suppression it can occur in different ways, right? So right, more than one way to skin a cat, they say. So how do we get fewer people to vote? Well, they're saying, well, we're going to pass some legislation. But even the legislation. So here's the deal. Everybody was talking about, can you believe that they're denying people food in the lines? Can you believe that they're denying people water? Water? Yeah, water. Can you believe that they're not letting people have water? Oh, God, I can't believe that. That is so dead. That is Jim Crow 2.0. Right? Because I'm talking about stuff that I heard on MSNBC, right? So now what they're saying is this. Wait a minute. They already have that legislation on the books in New York and New Jersey. Already. So what I'm saying is this. So now whether you have all of these businesses that are now woke in Georgia saying we're going to pull out because of what they're doing to people in Georgia, right? Or you have all of these people now wanting to hang 10 on the wave of what the Republicans are doing in Georgia. All these Democrats. I'm saying, well, wait a minute now. Why aren't you exercised about what's going on in New Jersey? Because we talked about it on the show. I keep saying it's two wings to the same dirty bird. I keep saying it. And so for me, it was a shock that they actually said it on MSNBC this morning. I'm like, oh my goodness. Are you serious? So now I gotta wonder why Joe is spending time doing this. There's an angle. I just haven't figured out his angle because I don't watch the show. Or maybe they figured that they would get on top of this before the Republicans got on top of it. Right? And that they could control the narrative around it. Because it's all out of control right now. because you got the president of the United States talking about this is Jim Crow 2.0, but you have Democrat historians, right, saying, wait a minute, not so fast. This is hyperbole. You're trying to emotionalize black people too much now that it's going to backfire. Because once they start shaking the truth, shaking facts, once they start doing that, they're going to realize that you're blowing smoke up their ass. But that's what's happening. And so now I want to see what all these black folks do, what all these Democrats do, now that, the sacred cow, Joe Scarborough, on the sacred channel, MSNBC, has blown the lid off of this thing and said, wait a minute. The laws on the books in New Jersey and New York are far worse. And so now what they're pivoting to is a very weak excuse, which I'll give in a second after I take this call. Caller, go.
Good morning, Eric. So, one thing I would say for sure, right, is that let's be clear that when you're talking about New York and New Jersey, you're talking about big Democrat states, right?
That's right.
Remember I told you about HR 1 that some of the languaging is why New York and New Jersey is designed the way it is, right? The Republicans are fighting that some of that languaging puts black folks in a bad twist in Democrat states, right? I think that the fact that also, what's my sister's name, Stacey Abrams, is against the boycotting, right? That it's going to be a boycotting will affect smaller businesses, black workers. She wasn't for that, right? But then you got Obama, like, don't get him. This is going to blow up in the faces of Democrats, which makes me also wonder, is that why Joey isn't putting that bill on the floor? Joey isn't putting that bill on the floor is a strategic move against the black voter, right? Because they want to have their cake, but I never understood when older people said this. They want to have their cake and eat it too, right? They just want to wag their finger and say the Republican is a racist bad guy, and we need to change it. But we don't really want to change voter rights because it kind of helps us put you black folks in the box and make you do what we need you to do. Now it's about to blow up. Joe Scarborough, and I watch him every single morning because I think he's a very funny guy. But he has no other choice but to have that conversation because, like you said, if they don't have the conversation first, it is going to be a shit show because Republicans are ready to have that conversation and advise black people that you really been suppressed by your own damn fault. That's what's happening. Well, that's the whole issue. But then you have to look at maybe one of the biggest reasons, and I'm not saying that this is, that you don't hear a lot from Biden about this or about that actual statement is because that statement of fact got him elected.
Oh, no doubt. But that's the point that we're trying to make. We're saying, look, he bamboozled them. He said, listen, y'all getting your asses kicked by Republicans. Meanwhile, Democrats are kicking their asses. You're being suppressed by Republicans. Meanwhile, Democrats are suppressing you. Right? You're being intimidated by Republicans. Meanwhile, Democrats are intimidating you. And now these laws, right, in Georgia, that they now want to use in order to galvanize black people. They're saying, hey, let's shake the facts. Let's shake the facts for a minute, guys. Look at these deep blue Republican states, New Jersey and New York. Right? They're worse off in terms of their laws. Right? So now what they pivoted to, and you heard Joe do it, right? So they do test marketing on these shows, right? And they see what's going to sell and they're going to watch how people are going to respond to it. So now here's the narrative. Well, it's not so much the we're not as concerned about the laws as we are the reason behind changing the laws. Right? Why would they change the laws if you had the greatest voter turnout that you've ever had, and you've had Trump elected judges say there was no widespread corruption? Why would they do it? And now they want to take your eye off of how they've been screwing you over and get you chasing down a rabbit hole of why would they do it. Here's why people do stuff like that. You look for opportunities. Both sides. They look for opportunities, right? They look for public sentiment to dictate to them when they can move legislation. Because otherwise they lack the political backbone to do it, because there might be blowback. So Donald Trump set the stage. He said, hey, listen, you all have been disenfranchised, right? Created this thing. And I admit, right, he lied. There was no evidence of what got it. But that wasn't the goal. The goal was to create an atmosphere that gave Republicans the courage to do what they're doing now, knowing that they would have political support by their constituents. But it happens on the Democratic side too. Stop it. So they're acting like they don't float shit out there and then get black people and Democrats emotionalized over it. And then they say, now is the time for us to go for it because we've got public support. So Republicans were looking for public support, and now they have it, and now they pass legislation, they pass laws, but the laws that they passed, here's the issue. Not why they did it, but let's look at the laws they passed. When you compare them side by side with the laws that are on the books in New York and New Jersey.
Absolutely.
Right? But they don't want you to look at it side by side. This is what I'm saying. Dude, Democrats are grimy.
Yes, they are.
Grimy!
Well, okay. Let's not put all Democrats as a whole in that particular group because, I mean, Diane's a Democrat, and I don't consider her to be grimy.
No, but you know what I'm saying, Vincent. See, here we go. Here we go with the maximum sophisticated confusion, right? Here we go. Here we go.
Let me finish the actual statement.
Go ahead.
One of the biggest problems that we have with the Democratic Party in terms of voter suppression is that yes, we have black-run groups and towns and townships in which they use voter suppression for those people, those cronies, those tribal leaders to stay in power. And that's the black on black crime. But in terms of another thing with the Democratic Party is that we have voter suppression in majority black areas, and they suppress the black vote so that the white Democrats can stay in power and make legislation against other blacks.
Right, and so why I say, but why I say Democrats, right, and not parse and say, oh, Diane's a Democrat, but she's not grimy. That's the issue is this, right? As a whole, the Democratic Party, the structure of it and how it is supported, right, from the district leader up, is grimy. It's grimy, right? To be a part of that, see, because look, do I say Ayanna Pressley is grimy? No. Do I say AOC is grimy? No. Right?
Bernie Sanders,
I say no. Right? But here are people, and so if we want to go and parse, right? Because again, I think that it's all a distraction, but I'll play the game for a second. Here's how you can determine grimy versus not grimy. If I take your money, right? If I take money from this establishment that is grimy, like my grandmother said, you lie down with dogs with fleas, you get up with fleas. Right? And so yeah, you're grimy. You took this money. Now, you can, and Jody's been in the game for a while, so you know, Jody, I'm sure she's heard it before. Well, I'm going to take their money, but I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to get on the inside and I'm going to do that. But it never happens like that. And they really never have the intention to do it. All they're trying to do is calm down your criticism of what they're getting ready to do. And they're trying to calm it down long enough so that they can fully get on the other side and fully benefit from whatever the other side has. And then you know what they do? They don't even take your calls anymore because they don't care. Right? They don't care how you feel then. Right? But while they're straddling the fence and they're not sure that they're going to be...
And say, oh yeah, about that thing we talked about. Yeah, we're putting things in place to make that happen. But I need your help on this particular issue.
Right. But then once they are fully indoctrinated on the other side, then they don't care about you anymore. But what they do is they give you a half an ear until they get on the other side, just in case the other side doesn't fully accept them and they got to come back. So they don't immediately kick you to the curb, right? They try to hold you in limbo until they get what they want on the other side, right? So they tell you, yeah, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to infiltrate, and I'm going to do whatever. Grimy.
Kind of like that date you had and they never called back. Or as Alicia Keys said, how come you don't call me?
I get the humor in it, but it's not.
Yeah, I don't want to be distracted right now, right? Because we don't interject humor when we're talking about what Republicans are doing, right? We're laser focused. But whenever we start talking about what Democrats are doing to black people and other Democrats, then we inject humor in it, right? Which I think is a distraction. No, I want to level the charge that Democrats are as grimy as Republicans are. I want to level that charge.
Well, let's the race card, right? How insidious is that, right? Using the race card where to incite people to behave a certain way while being basically just racist. Because that's to say that, and I know everything is local, but we're talking about voters' rights, right? So that in a democratic state like New York City, that it's okay. It's okay. And we condone that at the national level. The President of the United States, Congress, and the Senate okay the fact of voter suppression in a blue state. But in a red state, we're going to call it racism.
No, Jody, he didn't call it racism. He said it was Jim Crow 2.0. See, let's see. That's what I'm saying. He called it, and so I want to hear now. And so Eric knew, right? But now that Joe Scarborough said it, the president can't deny that he knows. I know he knew before anyway, but everybody knows now, right? All Democrats know because they all watch Joe Scarborough. So now I want to hear the president and the vice president. I even want to hear Stacey Abrams. Right? I want to hear them all. I want to hear them all come out and talk about the governor of New York and the governor of New Jersey and how they're upholding Jim Crow in the North. I want to hear that. They won't do it, will they? And not only will they not do it, the mayors won't do it. The state senators won't do it. The U.S. senators won't do it. The congressmen and women won't do it. The assembly won't do it. Right? The freeholders, or as Diane calls them, the freeloaders won't do it. The district leaders won't do it. We keep going. So that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is grimy. Grimy. So I don't want to hear any more talk about what Republicans do. Say what, Jody?
They're just going to keep talking about infrastructure.
Right. So I don't want to talk any more about what Republicans do to black people. I don't want to talk about that. Now, here is where, and I keep telling you, I think that she's cute, Candace Owens. She's, you gotta all her furniture is not arranged properly up there, but she does have a couch and a chair that might be in the right place. And so when she talks about Democrats, I'm on board with her. But what she won't do is what Democrats won't do. She won't talk about Republicans. So she'll talk about Democrats, but she won't talk about Republicans. And you have you have Democrats who will talk about Republicans but won't talk about Democrats. So I agree with Candace Owens when she talks about how Democrats use black people. I agree with her. How she gets them to emotionalize issues and not focus on the right things. I agree with her. I don't agree with her when she denies how insidious Republicans are. Right? We have to have a group of people who are willing to, and this is what I loved so very much about the movement that Bernie Sanders was involved in. He made it very clear that he was running as a Democrat under the, just structurally on the ballot. But in every sense of the word, he wasn't a traditional Democrat. The way he raised money, the way he focused on issues concerning poor people, marginalized people, the way he attacked these major industries who have a foothold on our government. And what did we do? We all bought into that thing, that narrative of we don't want to be a socialistic society, right? And we started pointing to these failed, experiments, right? And then he tried to narrate to people that Democrat socialism is different, right? And because people were so hell-bent on denying how marginalized they were, how abused they were, right? The Stockholm Syndrome, right? They protected the Democratic Party. But now you look at what's happening. Whether it's things that he talked about, whether it's things that Yang talked about, or dare I say, Marilyn Williamson talked about. Those are the things that are necessary in order to get us out of the jam that we're in. But, Joe, right, because he's got to toe this line. It's not going to happen. And so he's got us distracted on this other stuff. Scary. That's why I loved Jody. I don't know. Did you get to hear the remix of our intro?
No, I didn't. When I got on, you were talking.
I'm gonna play it at the end.
I'm a favorite, so please send it to me.
So the thing I love about it is my brother added some vocals, and the vocals are, I can't deny why I feel what I feel in the darkest times. See, I can't deny it. I can't deny why I feel what I feel. I see it. It's all around me. So when he sent it to me, Jody, I leapt out of my seat. I was like, oh. I don't even know who to send this to, because I don't think that any of the. Because I was like, you know what? What campaign has the courage to play that as their theme? Like they'll play Bon Jovi and Aerosmith and Bruce Springsteen. No, we don't need that. We need some revolutionary stuff, right?
Right.
Because we are in some dark times.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But at least, right, now it's there, right? Now you see it. And as you put it, right, he had to say it because he had to say it because someone is about to say it. And so you can't hide as much anymore. And people may not like this, but we do have to thank Donald Trump for that.
Yes.
We have to thank Donald Trump for unveiling all of it from both parties, letting us see it and taste it for ourselves. So it was strategic. You know that. And Joe Scarborough would say that this morning, and that they would choose him to say it, because I'm telling you, he's a very entertaining guy. So it was strategic. I was brushing my teeth when Joe Scarborough said that this morning, turned around and looked at the television screen.
Yo, Jody, I was in a car on 46. I was on Route 46. I almost swerved into the other lane. I was like, yo.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had to. They have no other choice, because now they've held off so long, right? Because before that, so I have them on record, but if you listen to it before that, they talked about how, and I don't remember what guest said this, it might have been John Johnson, that said that the way to stop this, because Stacey Abrams is not good with baseball, pulling out from the game. She's not good. She does not want anyone to revolt against businesses. She says that's out hurting our community, right? So it's like this whole big perfect storm happening in my world. And John Johnson said, so in all reality, they should have put the bill on the floor. Because if you put the bill on the floor, then you get national legislative change. You get to stop this, but you're saying it's happened in Atlanta by setting legislative goals and legislative rules for the game all over. That's when it hit me. So these people playing, as you and Vincent like to have that moment, playing chess while we're playing checkers, they can't put it on the floor.
Right.
Because it'll change the dirt that they've been doing.
That's absolutely right.
In our communities, in blue states. How crazy is that? But how real is that? And that is what we're seeing. What I'm afraid of is that, you and I might see it, some people might see it, but the herded, and I hate to say it that way, but the herded community, they won't see it. And
No.
they'll be herded again.
They're going to be herded again. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Scary.
It is very scary. We're in the darkest times. I can't deny why I feel what I feel. But
Yes, we are.
as my brother says in the song, we will rise. Maybe not all of us.
Absolutely right.
Maybe not all of us. But so you know those who have ears to hear me. We will rise. There are a couple other things that are going on. We talked about this trial. I got into it yesterday, and I love my sister. She was an integral part and still plays a major role in my healing, right? Both physically and spiritually. So I go over yesterday and see my mom and talking to my sister, and I said, this trial, I hope that, what I really hope is that these so-called black leaders are taking the temperature in these black communities of black people and how emotionally charged they're becoming, and that they educate them on the law. Because I tell you, I listened to every day of the trial, and I rewound some of the stuff and listened to it again. It is not an open and shut case by any stretch of the imagination, guys. Not an open and shut case by any stretch of the imagination. And so my sister said to me, she said, well, I know what I saw. And I said, well, what did you see? What did you see? She said, I saw him kill him. I said, nope. It's not what you saw. I said, what you saw was that he had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. That's what you saw. I said, who declared George Floyd dead while you were watching it? Where's the evidence of that person who said, or people who said, who are qualified to say that George Floyd was dead when you watch that video? See, because the jury is going to be charged with basing their decision on evidence. Who said he was dead? And I don't know, how many people have been a part of a jury or have even been in a courtroom during a trial, have listened to a judge charge a jury. All of what you hear now and all of the theatrics of what you see, like after the summations and then the charge of the jury, the judge narrows the focus of the jury and says, here is what murder means, and these are the things you have to find in order to convict. Here's what manslaughter means. Here's what you have to find to convict. Now, both sides presented evidence, and only the evidence that they presented can you use to determine your verdict. You can't use anything else. No preconceived thoughts, no emotional feeling about, just evidence. And you'll have those 12 people in there wrangling over evidence and not feelings. I know how I felt, right? Like I said, I can't deny why I feel what I feel. So when I saw this white man with his knee on the neck of this black man, God damn it, I was mad. Right? Yes, of course. Shouldn't have had it there.
I can't deny why I feel what I feel. I feel that this white man who had his knee on his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds was the cause of his death. I can't deny that.
That you feel that.
But that's how I feel.
That's right.
And I'm not going to deny it. And you know what? Here's the thing. And one of the things I love about that opening statement in the remix is this. We have, as black people, denied our feelings and denied getting into the fight because there are just so many things to fight about that we will be worn out by the end of the day. Now we're to the point where no, we're just ready to fight. Let's take it all on. Let's take it all on. Let's end the racism. I can't deny anymore why I feel what I feel. It's time to bring it down.
Sure.
I am tired of seeing all of these mass shootings that now they don't even talk about. See, I am tired of black people dying at the hands of police who are sworn to protect them. I am tired of black people getting the crappy end, as Eric always put it, of the stick because of who they have elected to represent them. No, I am tired. Let's bring it all down.
So here's the problem with that, right? This is a moment that quantifies the problem with that, right? Vincent for the first time in the Eric Dawson history of the show is Vincent on there was Pete Quiet talking about the Democratic Party. He didn't speak his mouth. He had nothing to say. He was so quiet that I was like, okay, is he going to chime in here? But wait, he's definitely going to say something here, right? The reason why this is happening is because you can't quote that song that I am so tired and bring it down if it doesn't go straight across the board. That's why we're in the predicament in both scenarios, right?
Okay, well, I'll wait till you finish and then I'll respond.
Predicament because you pick and choose, you black folks. Pick and choose when you want to bring it down, who you want to bring down, how you want to bring it down, and who should be held accountable for the bring down. And then, because this is easy, George Floyd is easy for black folks.
Yep.
George Floyd is easy to make a black fighter, right? We're going to, all emotional, knee in his neck, fall, everybody's got to be on because it's the easy fight. When you, Vincent, right? When you stand up and say, and look at that dirty Joey playing on our lives with voter registration, then you won't be so emotional about the knee on the neck. Because it's easy. You pick the easy fight. When we're really fighting, when you're really going to see justice take over, you don't pick easy fights. Listen, I know it because I've been there. I'm in another state because I don't like easy. I like to call it what it is, even when I know it's going to take food off my table, money out my pocket, because that's a fire, right? That's just something in my belly that is so adversarial sometimes to self-preservation, being the first rule of nature. You know how many times I had people say to me, Joe, take care of your family. I'm fighting for these people because they're going to get you and they're going to destroy you. And guess what? I'm still standing because of the fight in the belly. So I really, and I used to say this when I lived in North, and when I lived and I was taught about education, right? You don't get to pick and choose your fight. You either with us or you're against us.
That's right.
You either say, I'm going to say you're bad to this big, rich dude running charter schools in the city, or you're bad to that big bad superintendent, or you're bad to that big mayor. But when you pick and choose and coddle the fight, that's why we are where we are, because people keep picking and choosing. I thought that was so funny that Vincent was mute. But when you get on this easy fight, something that's so easy to say, that happened, that's wrong, they're bad, black people stand up. And that's why we're in that predicament. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, well, thank you for that 15 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. Especially behind the fact that maybe you have actually got on the air or listened to the show late. And when Eric and I discussed it, I discussed my disdain about it, and I discussed how the Democrats do the exact same thing. Excuse me, I let you go 15 minutes uninterrupted. I can at least get through. Now, the other thing, which is totally disingenuous, and that proves that you don't know Vincent, is the simple fact that Vincent gets in the fight. When we were talking about last week, not getting in the fight with the Asians, Vincent said, no, we need to get in the fight. Vincent does not pick and choose. Vincent gets in the fight. See, and the third thing, when you suggest that Vincent goes for easy fights, you don't know me, honey. I've been taking on bigger giants and bigger bullies since I was in the 3rd grade. So nothing makes me back down. Nothing intimidates me. And I get into the fight, even to the point where I have to fight with you because you want to villainize Vincent because it's Jody Pittman's mission on life. Well, listen, honey, I got news for you. I got ex-wives. Get in line.
That was so emotional.
There's a lot of people who like to tear into Vincent. Go on, just get back there. Wait your turn.
So again, and I agree with Jody. If it, and I said this. So it was interesting, Jody, when you said that George Floyd is easy, and I don't want people to misinterpret what you said. I mean, that's a horrible thing, but it's easy to jump into that fight because everybody's in that fight, right? Everybody's in that fight, and so nobody's gonna look at you sideways being in that fight. That's what makes it easy, right? Jumping in the fight around Eric Garner, that's an easy fight, right? Because everybody looked at that and said blah blah blah, right? An easy fight, jumping on the side with Tamir Rice, or when what's his name in L.A. Was caught when they caught the cops on video beating him. Rodney King. Right, it was easy to jump into that fight. The difficult fights are the ones where you've got friends and family members, right? You've got other people who are gonna now, approach you sideways because they have a vested interest, right? They're benefiting some way from a system that you're talking about tearing down, and so you decide to sidestep that one. But that is the one. Those are the ones that are propping up the other things, right? Those are the reasons why the Rodney Kings get beat downs, and the reason why we don't have sweeping legislation that would prevent a guy like Derek Chauvin from putting his knee on the neck in the first place, right? So we want to jump to this thing, but we don't want to hold the people accountable for not having the political will and courage to do the right thing. And they continue to walk these tight ropes because we strap on our red vest and we strap on our blue vest, and we're ready to blow ourselves up for the Republican Party or for the Democrat Party to save them at our own expense. That's why.
Absolutely.
So, I think that
and Eric, guess what? They know that.
They do know it. They know it.
They know that. Oh yeah, listen, that's why they don't mind standing with us on George Floyd. Okay, let's jump on up. We're gonna jump on it, and I am. Although I'm laughing, I am not downplaying the atrocity by no stretch of the imagination. Right? It's horrific. Right? What happened to that man and black men and women every day in this country is horrific, right? But we will make no headway. We won't move it forward until those colors come down. Listen, I think that this is a great moment for the progressive wing of the party to make headway. And I do believe that this is going to be the perfect storm. And Vincent and his crew gonna have to take off their blue jackets, and some staunch Republicans are going to lose their behind over it. But it is definitely a time to recognize and realize that the stand-up has to be cataclysmic. It has to be raw and ugly for us to get to the other side.
Here is two of the most important forms of change. There is the evolution, which takes time, but yet is perfect. And then there is the revolution, which is sudden, direct. The problem that we have is that we are coming upon both. We're coming upon evolutionary techniques, which is now bringing a revolutionary response. And the problem that we're having with that is the same problem that we always have. We have people who sit there and shift blame upon the other because they're not in their fight, in which these people are saying, well, my fight is just as important. We have people who will demean others, and because they say that, okay, well, if you're not in this, then you are not black enough. We have people, and all of this stuff, and all of the different things they do, all it does is divide us too much, to the point where you get so little black people standing up. As Dr. King said, there was so little who accomplished little. Think of how much we could have accomplished if everybody got involved. And that's
I can't remember the letter, right now, but I read it once before on this show that Dr. King wrote, where he said that both parties but he couldn't do something. Someone was asking him to do something, and he said, I can't because both parties have blood on their hands, right? He took one thing. That was one thing. That wasn't to divide. That was to get people, black people, to stand up in one thing.
Well, that was
supposed to demean a man who does not stand for us as a whole. That picks sides, that picks spaces that they're willing to jump into, and then other spaces, that's too divisive, right? No. We have one fight as a people.
No, what we have is one. What we have, Jody, what we have is not one side of the people. What we have is one version of why a person did not do it. Dr. King did it because he did not want to go with either side, which was basically saying that, okay, all I'm doing is picking the best of the two to be involved with the same demon. So, and that's another thing that we run into, and we have to stop that.
Wait. I missed a little bit. How are you characterize? How did you just characterize Dr. King? What did you just say about Dr. King?
Dr. King realized that there were blood on both sides, Democrat and Republican. He didn't want to. So, no, okay, well, listen, he said in his Birmingham letters when talking about nobody was there, and he could have gotten a lot of support from these other people and gotten them on a movement, and he turned it down because he said that they got blood on their hands too.
No doubt. But let us not let us be clear. He wasn't even-handed when he was talking about that. Sure, he talked about both sides, but he talked specifically about the side that said that they were on the side of poor people and black people.
Exactly. And Eric, 2 years ago on this show, when 2 years ago I came up to your show and we talked about these prosperity pimps and politicians who basically enact all of these bills which are supposed to help black people, and we find out their white friends get the lion's share of it, and blacks get somewhere around 9 to 12%.
Well, but let's go further. But let us not even paint.
Let me finish, please. They went in and directed this bill because they were quote unquote helping the poor black people in their businesses, and that wasn't the truth.
But let us go further, Vincent. See, because please let us go further. Not only did white firms or wealthy white people benefit, right? But the gatekeepers, the Negro whisperers, the slave catchers also benefited. Right, we gotta have that conversation, right?
Exploiting their own people, Eric.
Right. So when you have, for example, a mayor who was a principal before he was a mayor, but now the rumors are circulating that his net worth is in the millions, right? But poverty hasn't changed; it's gotten worse. You see.
Well, if his network is in the millions, imagine the increase in the network of his cronies and the people who have been doing his dirty work.
No. Right. But I'm saying that if we get rid of him or them at that level, right? Understand how they're benefiting directly from the intimidation, the voter suppression, right?
Legislation,
right?
Bill enactment,
from all of that, right? How these Negro whisperers and slave catchers benefit from this, right? If we focus our attention on that, see, because again, what's easy is to go look at how these white people are benefiting, right? But once we start saying no, let's look at how the black folks are benefiting on black folks. Right? Because then the difficulty in that is, well, you know what? It may wind up being a friend of yours or a cousin of a friend of yours. And now you got to have a difficult conversation.
Or a business associate.
Right? Then you got to have the difficult conversation around that, right? And then we shy away from those difficult conversations. We sidestep them.
Yes, we
right?
do. Because
And then what we do in those instances is we deny what we feel.
Mm-hmm.
We deny what we feel, and we deny what we see.
Just like a sports fan, I don't care what you think my team is doing wrong. I am going to be in favor of my team. We deny the truth about what's going on, and we hide it. And that's the part of the song. I cannot hide.
No, it's a part of our life. It's a part of our life that is represented in the song, right? And so yes. So let us start at home. Let us start at home with the party that we are so very loyal to, right? So very loyal to, that has abused us for decades.
Go ahead.
Let us focus there. Let us focus there. Let us not let them distract us from holding them accountable.
Well, Eric, that goes into or affirms one of the early things that when I started theology and a deeper understanding of Christ is one thing that he said is that how can you take a splinter out of your neighbor's eye when you have a tree in front of yours? How are we going to sit up here? And because that smacks us with our hypocrisy. How can we talk about the suppression that the Republicans are doing in Georgia when we know that we get voter intimidation and voter suppression by black politicians in black neighborhoods to keep blacks who want to do what's right out of office?
But here's the problem, right? That Vince is willing to say that, right? Vince is always willing to say something about black folks. He always willing to pick out the ills of black folks, right? Until he will say Joey at the top of the food chain, Joey who sits at the top of the food chain, Joey that herded out all those black folks to get that vote, and still playing with the vote of the black folks. Until you're willing to say that, you don't really quantify or qualify as someone who can talk about that black leader. I can talk about Raz Baraka every day because I call it ball out. I talk about Raz Baraka. I'm going to talk about Joey Biden. I'm going to talk about any and all. I'm going to talk about the governor, the mayor, the assembly person. I'm going to talk about anybody that comes in that path, right? When we start talking about Joe Biden,
but you don't, Jody. The whole.
We're going to put our something on, and then we got to get together, and we got to work together, or we're going to hurt each other. But I can't talk about this. This is my blackness, right? I feel comfortable talking about black leadership. Because I talk about all leadership, right? If you're so willing to say black folks hurting black folks, right? Say Joey hurted us. Just let those words slip out your mouth like a little bit. But you can't do that for whatever reason. And it's not for me to even give a damn why you don't do that. But when you talk about black leadership, then I feel like I should stand up for Raz to somebody like you. Because you're not willing to call the head of it, right? Raz cannot operate.
That's absolutely right.
Cannot operate in such an insidious and demonic way against their own people without the coverage of Joey and his friends.
Right, and that's absolutely right.
Can I please address that, Eric?
Because
here is the thing in which I find the most insidious thing. Jody, you very rarely talk about any of those people because most of the time on this show you talk about me. You qualify and quantify my actions with some very misleading and very unfair and untrue statements, and that really, truly, yes, you did.
Right. But here's where we are, Vincent.
Because this is the big part and what takes away from the message. When you once again minimalize, marginalize, or radicalize, or even totally dismiss what someone is saying because it doesn't qualify as what Jody would do, then you therefore take away a voice that could be your ally. ally.
Right, but here's
turn it into your enemy.
Right, but here's a question, Vincent. Here's a thing.
So over a year ago.
I'm sorry, it's Eric's turn. Please let him talk.
Right? No.
Please.
No. Eric Dawson show over a year ago and said you were running for office. I don't know if you remember Jody Pittman then, but I told you. I said, well,
I remember. You said
nobody would. That's just who I am. It's not you as a person, an individual. That's beside the point. But your views could change.
Oh, here is how idyllic my memory has been. When I first came on Eric Dawson and talked about it, you got on the air and said, I hope you lose. Yes, exactly. Okay, and you know what? You were right. I did lose. And what happened? Well, this was the result of me losing. This is the result of me losing. In that township, they raised, therefore, their taxes for a new football field and lights. And raised the taxes, talking about getting a trade school in that township. They raised it and then said that they were raising the taxes so that they could start an engineering science. Now, they raised the taxes, and it's been now 4 years. Do you know that none of that has happened except for the football team? That was it. Yeah. Oh, by the way, they raised that taxes so much that there were now an increase of 17% of senior citizens who were taxed so high that they could no longer afford their home. They raised the taxes so much is that we've had so many abandoned houses that led to break-ins, that led to squatters, that led to crime. And then here's a simple fact.
Okay, I gotta wind it up.
The police force was supposed to take care of them. So thank God that you were right, because that town really needed what they're suffering from.
So right, so here's the only thing that I try to call out, and that is that we are balanced in our assessment of what's going on. Right? And so we asked critically during the election or upon the victory of Joe Biden. Well, okay, he won. Kamala Harris won. How are we going to benefit? Right? And we know in the end that it will be through legislation that we see the greatest benefits. Right?
And in terms of legislation, Biden and the moves that he has made has now gained approval of 47% of Republicans in the House and an increase in 22% of Republicans in the Senate. So, is his next few bills going to be a hard fight? Not as hard as everybody wanted it to be, or as media wants to project it. And in terms of what he's doing, not only is he doing a lot of things universal, but the biggest approval that he's getting from black people is that he is working at moving the needle. Now,
right, but what I'm saying to you is this. So here's what I'm saying. Like I listen to you, and we could listen for the next 30 minutes, right? And you'll speak very eloquently about all of this, right? But in the conversation around voter suppression and voter intimidation, and how Joe Biden and his administration is quiet about it in these deep blue states, there's very little conversation, right? Or it's not free flowing, right? It's pulling teeth to have those conversations. But this other thing, right? And I'm willing to have this conversation too. I'm just saying, let's have them even-handedly, right? Let's look at it all even-handedly. But there is an uneven distribution of love, right, over here, and then there is over here. And I'm saying that is to me, that is the thing that makes my ears go up and the hair stand up on the back of my neck, because it is a reaction far too often evident in the black community in particular, and then we get nothing.
Absolutely.
Well, that Eric, that is a wonderful precautionary tale in which we need to keep our antennas up to see that it does not happen. And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Right.
Now,
so wait a minute. So wait a minute. So if you agree with it wholeheartedly, let's start at the root. Right at the root. So the root is that we need to be able to vote without being intimidated.
True.
Right, without being suppressed. Like so that is where that's where the fight starts. So all of these lofty things, if we can't get...
No. Let me take it a little deeper, Eric. The fight starts in terms of us, one, being educated about the candidates. 2, getting out the vote. 3, being voted without intimidation. See, an uneducated voter is a vote for the same person. And that's what they prey on.
Who? Wait a minute, who preys on that?
The oppressors, they prey on the people not being educated about their misdeeds and doings.
Okay, so wait a minute. So again, I want to focus on what happens in our communities, right? Because we're talking about
in our community.
So who? So who is the they in our community?
I don't know about in your community, but see, in my community where I was running, that Jody so eloquently stated that she wanted me to lose, even though she does not represent or live there. Those people preyed upon.
No, who are those people?
Okay,
They're Democrats. Say it, Democrats.
If you can shut up, I'll tell you who they are, Eric. The mayor.
No, say Democrats.
And the council.
Say Democrats. Say it.
They were Democrats.
Thank you. That's it. Okay. All of that other stuff. This is what I'm getting at.
I didn't know that you were looking for partisanship in it.
No, wait a minute.
But yes, they were Democrats. It's a Democratic town.
Right.
In fact, I'm in a Democratic council.
Correct. So all of the other stuff to me was just smoke and mirrors, right? I said, who are the they? Democrats. End. Done. So now let's focus on
what you're looking for. I can say Democrats.
Right. Okay. So now
because what you would want to use in your linguistics repertoire is not always what I would use.
No.
But okay, now we're on the same page. The Democrats.
Okay.
That was running against.
Right. So now, if we understand that, and again, let's take this beautiful man who was, yesterday was the anniversary of his murder, right? Dr. King, that it is through legislation that we're going to get this stuff, but the fight in our own communities is to prevent us, black people, right, Democrats, from being empowered,
correct,
to elect people, right, who will have the courage to move forward with legislation that will have a seismic change in our lives, right? Then why are we focused on anybody else but Democrats?
Well, see, first of all, Eric, when talking about the show on MSNBC, he does not represent the we. He represents his channel producers and what they therefore let him talk about. Now, in terms of the we that is focused, see, that's the Eric Dawson show. In terms of we that is focused, that's what you got to say. In terms of we that is focused, that's everybody who has a podcast who is willing to speak truth to power. Those are the we's that voices are constantly being silenced because we're bringing out the information and the truth to educate people to make better decisions.
No. The voices that are being silenced are the lady in the senior building over there on Springdale Avenue.
No, that's the vote that's being suppressed.
No. Okay. We're playing semantics right now, right? We're playing semantics right now.
Yeah. Right. Her voice. Yeah, you're right.
That's right. Go ahead, Jody.
So that I can clarify about the letter I was talking about, because I wasn't talking about the letter from the Birmingham jail, right? I was talking about the letter he wrote when a Morehouse graduate asked him to participate and basically fight for the Democratic Party. So this letter, right? He said, "Thanks for your kind letter of October 18th, making inquiry concerning my political position. Actually, I am not taking any public position in this election. In private opinion, I find something to be desired from both parties. The Negro has been betrayed by both the Democratic and Republican Party. The Democrats have betrayed us by capitulating to the whims and caprices of the Southern Dixiecrats. The Republicans have betrayed us by capitulating to the blatant hypocrisy of conservative right-wing Northerners. This coalition of Southern Dixiecrats and right-wing Northern Republicans defeats every move toward liberal legislation in Congress. So we confront the problem of choosing the lesser of two evils. At this point, I might say, however, that I feel that the Negro must remain an independent voter, not becoming unduly tied to either party. He should seek the vote for the party which is more concerned with the welfare of all people. Period. Right?
Where do we go from here? There we go.
That's where do we go? That's where do we go from here? And we stated that point an hour and a half ago.
Wait, no. But it is the only point, right? And so if we're to be an independent,
and you want to move it, like you want to play that smoking screen, that smoke screen that every Democrat wants to play, right? But that's
see, there you go again, saying what I'm doing and incorrect about saying it. No, I did not minimalize this. In fact, I talked to you about minimalizing what I say.
So wait a minute.
Let's go to the next point.
No. So the deal is this. So this is the. It seems to me this is the point, right? And so we have to. So when Dr. King says that we have to be an independent voter, right? We right now are already, for the most part, independent of the Republican Party, right?
Right.
So when he says that we need to be independent in our thinking, what he's really saying is that we need to remove ourselves from the Democratic Party.
Well, that is one interpretation of it, Eric.
Okay.
Another interpretation of it is we need to be independent thinking and not monolithic or herded.
Jody, read it again. Wait. Jody, read it again. Read it again.
Let me read it again. Thank you very much. Okay,
read that piece again.
Your kind letter of October 18th concerning my political position. Actually, I am not taking any public position in this election. In private opinion, I find something to be desired from both parties. The Negro has been betrayed by both the Democratic and Republican parties. The Democrats have betrayed us by capitulating to the whims and caprices of the Southern Dixiecrats. The Republicans have betrayed us by capitulating to the blatant hypocrisy of conservative right-wing Northerners. This coalition of Southern Dixiecrats and right-wing Northern Republicans defeats every move toward liberal legislation in Congress. So we confront the problem of choosing the lesser of two evils. At this point, I might say, however, that I feel that the Negro must remain an independent voter, not becoming unduly tied to either party. He should seek to vote for the party which is more concerned with the welfare of all people. And we can now say that the Democrats do not, right? We can now say.
So what part of that did I not say in terms of saying that we need to be independently thinking? Independent of independent
voter.
I didn't say independent. I did not say. I said independent thinker. Eric said independent voter. Now, I said independent thinking in terms of looking at the candidates because one of the things in which I believe he was referring to was the situation that happened in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm sorry, in Wilmington, North Carolina, where they were herded to vote for Fillmore because he was talking progressive Democrat, and then he turned out to be a stone Dixiecrat. I was talking, or one of the things that he was referring to was what's his name in Alabama, who was a Democrat yet Dixiecrat in mind. I was talking. What he was saying was about Johnson, who was a Democrat yet a Dixiecrat. He was into oppressing black people, keeping the rule of the South as mandatory.
Right. So
I guess you missed the part where he said not becoming unduly tied to either party. I guess you just like that. Just
Right.
That is what I just said. Not being heard, being tied to that duly party, following the herd of voting Democrat, and the Democrats that you're voting for is not in your interest.
Right. So
that's right. If you're gonna make it appear right that black folks were not herded to vote for Joe Biden, and that Joe Biden has not proven to be a man for our welfare.
Okay, see, that's where I disagree. We were herded to vote against Trump. That was the messaging. But yet, when Biden did get in office,
Wait a minute, Vincent, stop it. So wait a minute. Are you telling me? Wait a minute, Jody, come on, Vincent. Are you telling me when Fish Fry Clyburn, right? That we're talking about that wall. We're talking about that southern wall, that firewall, right? That revived that campaign. They weren't herded to vote for Biden? Because understand, it wasn't about not Trump. It wasn't about not Trump. It was about not Bernie Sanders. It was about not. Wait a minute. I want to stay focused.
Go ahead, finish.
It was about not Bernie Sanders. It was about not Yang. It was about not all of these other Democrats. It was about Joe Biden. Come on.
Now, let us put this in the context.
No, I just want to stay in there.
Eric, shut up.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to hang up. Wait a minute. Don't do that again. Don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever. Wait a minute. Don't you ever do that again. I don't have the luxury. Wait a minute.
Interrupting and let me answer.
Wait. Vincent, I want to slow down for a second, right? Because when we do the other show, you have a mute button, and you don't hesitate in muting me, right? And now you tell me to wait. And now you tell me to shut up. Wait a minute. And now you tell me to shut up. That's just not cool, right? Don't do that. Wait a minute. So all I want you to do, Vincent, is stay focused. Because you're getting ready to go on some soliloquy now. I want you to stay focused.
Eric, I'm staying focused.
Go ahead.
This is the part that does it. Okay, when you interrupt me after giving the statement before I can finish my statement, that's an interruption. And then I have to address your interruption. So if we can just let me stay focused on answering your point, then you can counter.
Okay, answer the point. The very specific point.
The very specific point in the narrative in which you said about Fishburne and Biden was this. Biden was, and let's now bring the facts and
oh boy, here we go.
Biden's candidacy was on life support and darn near dead. Okay, Clyburn got up and rallied his people through suppression, influence, or whatever the case may be.
You're off the topic, Vincent.
Now, see, there we go.
Because you're off the topic.
Okay, no, I'm getting. Let me bring it home. At this point in which I was talking about and referring to was that we were now past the primary into the general.
No, we weren't. Wait a minute.
Eric, the point that you're getting was the primary. The point that I was talking when I said it before was the general.
Vincent,
that's what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. But they killed. Wait a minute. But they killed all. They herded black people. They herded black people to kill off all of the other Democrats. They herded them all.
They herded black people to vote for Biden in that one particular state out of 50. So you do have to acknowledge that. No, Eric. That is what happened with Clyburn. Clyburn does not have that huge national influence. Okay, there were 50 states. Okay, now I didn't vote for Biden in the primary or any of that other stuff. Just as much as a lot of other African Americans. But at the point, once the primaries were done, we were left with choosing between A and B. And people were either voting for Biden of that 86 million or voting against Trump. As Dr. King said, we were choosing the lesser of evils.
Right, but what I want you to understand is this. So you're making the point that we're making. So what they did was they understood that they wanted black people to do exactly what Dr. King warned us against. So their position was, we're going to we're going to corral and herd black people in what they call a firewall. And then we're going to position this and say to blacks, now choose the lesser of the two evils.
And that is what happened.
No, I'm not denying that.
Eric, if I could add one more thing to that before you interject or interrupt, that is what happened. But here is the other point that you have to look at. Black people and black politicians did not create that firewall. Trump created that.
No, they did.
Trump gave them all the ammunition. Trump gave them all the ammunition that black America needed to get out and vote against.
Okay, so wait a minute, Vincent, you're so off. That firewall was the same firewall they referenced in 2016, right? It's the same firewall they referenced in 2008, right? It's the same firewall, Vincent. It's the same firewall.
Let's look at that firewall 2008. They tried to rally against Obama, in which blacks came out and voted. In 2016, they tried to rally for Hillary, in which blacks did not vote, and you see the results of that.
Right.
Now, in 2020, they now said, okay, we know that we have made some errors in terms of what we have received and who we voted for or did not vote for, and they came out and voted.
Now, let's stay with me, right? So this is the political science of it. So black folks down in there, they heeded Dr. King's advice, right, in 2016. And then you had slave catchers and Negro whisperers, right, run the okey doke on them in 2021 and then this current election and got them to vote against their interests, right? In 26, right. So we want to blame it again. You want to blame it on the Republican and you want to blame it on Donald Trump, right? And you want to say Donald Trump. Let me see. You can't ask me to let you finish and then you interrupt me, right? So now you want to say, well, it was Donald Trump, and I'm saying to you, no, it was the Democrats. See, the Democrats retooled the firewall. They realized they tried to shove Hillary Clinton through, right, in 2016. They tried to do that off of the backs of what happened in 2008 and 2012. Right, so they did that, and then they said, okay, you know what? We got Negroes all emotionalized, and so we're going to do this thing with Hillary Clinton. So they put a real bad candidate up, figuring that they were going to get that done. Then when they realized, after that didn't work because black people did what Dr. King suggested, right? They said, you know what? We're not going to be loyal. We're not going to be loyal. Then they came back around. Democrats came back around in this past election, right? And what they did was they emotionalized those black people, right? They didn't have them demand anything, right? The black people did this to black people. They emotionalized them, didn't have them organize to demand anything, and then they had them choose the lesser of the two evils. They did exactly what Dr. King warned them not to do. Black people got them to do that.
Okay, now, here is the actual facts of your statement. When they built the firewall for the 2016 election, the firewall was therefore built by and sent misinformation about Hillary Clinton, which the FBI and the CIA confirmed was Russian operatives because they flooded social media. They tried the exact same technique for Trump's re-election for the 2020 with the same thing. By that time, Black America was already educated in terms of how they were herded to not vote and got out to vote. And not only were they herded for that reason, they were also herded to get out and vote because of the condition that we were in, dealing with the virus, dealing with the unemployment, dealing with the tax cuts that affected blacks, dealing with the cut and defunding of black programs, dealing with all of that under the Trump administration because they did not get out to vote. So they made sure, in my opinion, that they got out for 2020 and voted Trump out.
Yeah, that's all misinformation, Vincent. All of it. Like
Okay,
it really
so
is
you're
all
saying that the
misinformation.
Russians had nothing to do with the influence of the black vote, even though the FBI said that they did. You're saying that the Russians had nothing to do with changing the narrative of who to vote for, with all the false information about Hillary Clinton. You said that the Russians had nothing to do with exploiting Hunter Biden in the same technique, or the Donald Trump definitely spending over $40 million messaging to blacks on social media, that he was releasing prisoners, that he was saving the HBCUs, that he was and in fact he got on his campaign trail and in the debate and said he's done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln.
Right.
And black people sat up there and gave him the side eye.
Right. What I'm saying is this, that black folks knew who Hillary Clinton was and they rejected her.
Some black folks did know. One of the biggest things that stuck in black mind is the attacks that she did to Biden. The other big thing that stayed in black's mind was when they started pushing out her saying, calling blacks the wolf packs and the crime bill. The other thing that black people were very, very not happy with was finding out that crime bill was an attack on black people.
Right. That had nothing to do with Russians. That was black people.
No. But the pushing of that information and plus the disinformation was the Russians.
Vincent, so here's the interesting thing about this, right? I can't deny why I feel what I feel. So think about all those black people who were negatively impacted by her and couldn't deny what they felt, why they felt what they felt. And so you're saying, well, no, it wasn't that. It was the Russians. And I'm going, no. Some black people just regurgitated her. That's it. They said, I can't stomach your ass. That's it.
I'm not disagreeing with what they want.
And the Democratic Party. But wait. Okay, Vincent, I keep waiting. Vincent, you can't.
Eric, could you please let me get it out?
But I keep letting you get it out, dude, and you keep interrupting me.
Eric, I said I'm not disagreeing how people felt about her. The statement that I was making is how a lot of that information got to them about her.
Vincent, a lot of the information got to them because they were impacted directly by it.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now you were emotionalized by the impact, and then you were intellectualized by the fake.
See, so here we go again, right? Where I look and say, you know what? I'm just looking and going, she had a stench about her, and I'm leaving it there. Right, but you want to take that shit that's on a spoon and sprinkle some sugar on it and say, well, yeah, it wasn't all her, right? She didn't stink that badly, right? But the Russians, they made it. And I'm saying, see, there it is again. I wanna look and go, no, you know what? Democrats are just so vile. So vile sometimes that we just can't stomach them. And in the 2016 election, they just couldn't stomach her. And they tried to force her down the throats of black people, and black people regurgitated. See, but that's a difficult conversation to have. The easier conversation is to talk about the algorithms and the this and the that, what the Russians did, and how they act and how they whatever, right? But the difficult one is to say, you know what? You're a black mayor, you're a black senator, you're a black senator, you're a black congresspeople, all of them colluded to ram her down your throat. See, that's a difficult conversation to have.
Well, here's part of that difficult conversation, Eric. Although in the 2016 campaign where they tried to ram Hillary Clinton down Black America's votes, it turned out to not work.
Of course it didn't work. Of course it didn't work. But you know what did work? But what did work, because then those same black people, they retooled, because it was all about power for them. So they retooled, right? And they came up with this whole in 20 for the 2020, right? And even the midterms, right? Think about it, because we talked about all of this. So they retooled from the beginning, Right after it didn't work, right after they tried to shove her down the throats of black people, then they primed the pumps in the black community. And we talked about it. When even in board elections, right, they were putting up stop Trump signs all over the place. Right? They were priming people, right? Stop Trump, stop Trump, stop Trump. Right, for ineffective Congress people who were running, right? Menendez as a U.S. senator, right? Donald Payne running, right? Cory Booker. They were putting up stop Trump, right? For the governor here, they put up stop Trump, right? So they primed, and then they colluded when we got to the firewall in the primary. Right? They colluded. They said, you know what? We're going to get people to vote against their interests and align with the party. Because all of the other people who might have been viable candidates were not party candidates, right? I talked about that. They weren't party candidates. Yang, not a party candidate. Williamson, not a party candidate. What's his name? Bernie Sanders, not a party candidate, right? So then they were looking at the party candidates, and they said, you know what? You all need to get in line. All of you party people, get in line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to herd black people. When we get there, we just got to drag this old Joe, got to drag him along, right? You know, keep giving them chest compressions, and we got to get to the black folks down south where the firewall is. And then what we're going to do, we're going to emotionalize them, right? We're going to get them to vote against their interests, right? A guy who some of the party people called a segregationist, some of the party people called a racist, some of the party people had all these other things to talk about the crime bill and all those things. They got all the party people in line. And think about again what Dr. King said. He said, you cannot be aligned with the party. You got to be independent. But they were working hard to drag Joe to the firewall and to align and herd and align black people to the party.
We talked about that, and I agreed.
Right. And let's go.
Right.
Now
and so what happened?
Right.
And Biden is in office. Now let's go to where do we go next?
Well, so now where do we go from here? Right. We got to hold him accountable. Right. So we got to hold him accountable at the local level, looking at the people who those people who colluded against us and herded us to vote against our interests. We got to hold them accountable. We got to look at the key performance indicators in this administration. Like Jody keeps saying, where's the legislation? Where's the bill? Where's the bill? Where's the bill? Put it on the floor. We got to ask the critical question, why not? If you want to change things. Then we got to ask, why the silence on the side of Democrats when it comes to voter suppression and voter intimidation in the blue states? So all these things are happening right now. Right? And so when you say, where do we go from here? There's got to be accountability. And there is none.
Why isn't there accountability when we got Jody Pittman who researches everything and does not monitor? No doubt. We're calling it out. But the question is, we're calling it out and the accountability. So now that we're doing that and we realize that, Jody, I'm talking, please, Jody. Go
ahead, Vincent, go ahead.
Now that we have that, Eric, and we discussed that, Eric, and we've acknowledged that, Eric, now what's next?
So Eric, can I answer?
Go ahead.
We gotta stomp out people like Vincent, right? Because last week when I called it out, right, when I said to him specifically, and I asked a specific question. So if the infrastructure bill comes before the voter rights bill, where will you sit? You know what he told me about? He told me about someone's asthma. He said, oh, no, I won't be angry because, some parents' asthma is more important than their voters' right? So we have to honestly, Eric...
No, and when I said asthma, it wasn't about the infrastructure bill. I'm sorry.
Don't interrupt me.
I said I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But we have to stop out people like you that sit on that seat and willing to play back and forth where George Floyd, he's so bad, and the white people, they're so bad. But if I say to you, why aren't the bills on the floor? You have some other psychobabble bullshit to say that it's okay, and we're gonna put me and Eric, we're going too far, and then we're gonna break everybody up, and no one's gonna be together, and we'll never get anything that way, right? But you would sit on here day after day, conversation after conversation. We can give you example after example on top of examples about how this administration that herded us to the polls, how they're selling us as a people, and you told us to wait, be patient, it's only 30 days, it's only 20 days, it's only 40 days, it's only 50 days, right? Now we are in the middle of the storm where people are, where the baseball says we're going to pull them out, right? Delta, they're arguing with Delta, they're arguing with soda companies, and you're still on this babble bullshit. But you know what? To end it all, right? It's not because the people
once you've done, I'd like to address
get into office, right? It's because you are so phony. You are so disingenuous. You are such that quintessential politician that once you open your mouth and you think because you that people are moved by that, people can pick out. This is one thing black folk can pick out. Even though they got to herd us to the line for Joe Biden, it was emotional, right? They showed us the big bad orange wolf, and they herded us out. But don't you ever misunderstand that black folks we can pick out a phony as easy as it comes. We just keep playing this lesser of two evils. They told us that Bernie Sanders was evil first. That's how they put him out there. Like he was an evil outsider that wasn't very democratic. And we bought that, right? So then they said Donald Trump is this evil orange dude. So we bought it. But don't you think that we didn't buy Joe Biden with full knowledge that he wasn't very good for us either. So when you wonder why I said to you last year that you should lose, it wasn't because of your philosophy. Well, you couldn't even get past your philosophy. The soapbox preaching is, so that is very, very phony. All of that wow you do, people peep that. People understand that, and that's why you lost. Because you're very disingenuous. You're not very authentic in your messaging. You're not very authentic in your arguments. You're not very authentic as a human being. That's why you get so emotional and use words like shut up or try to insult and deflect and define people, because that is who you are. I don't expect for you to change. I like railing on you, but I never expect you to change. You're going to defend Joe Biden no matter what he does against the people. Because you're not one of them. You just
okay. Well, here is the flaw in your argument. First and foremost, we don't have to focus on stomping out Vincent. Why? Because Vincent has a very small platform, and Vincent does very good. Please, Jody, I did let you finish. Again, the other thing. Okay, and here is one of the things in which you talk. You never, ever do get to the point. You make a statement, and then you break on 40 other statements, which in psychological terms is called kitchen sinking, because you really can't remember all of it.
So my question is, are you going to answer?
Let me address.
Well, I want you to address the issue.
Let me address your last point. The reason Vincent lost was because of the political scandal, and because of the simple fact in which Dr. King said. They would much prefer to do the herd mentality, because where I ran for, the black vote was only 9%, and the other vote was all white Democrats who voted for the established party. The other part that you actually have to look at, Jody, in terms of the other thing. Can I please finish? I mean, I gave her 7 minutes.
Go ahead.
But I can't get two. The other thing is this, Jody. You spend so much time in saying that I'm disingenuous and then you even went to the point to prove that I was lying by setting me up. And I specifically said I know very little about that. But yet you want to focus on when I said that, you know what, we've got a lot of issues and we need to be patient and wait with it. Because once again, if it's not what Jody the Almighty wants, then it's not important. Right. And that's one of the issues that we deal with. So want us to fight in their issues and not understanding that other people have other concerns that they need to focus some attention and fighting on too.
Right. So here's where I want to close. Right.
That was a lot.
Here's where I want to close. We're approaching. I think we got 2 more days before we really dig into where do we go from here, right? Yeah. But I think in terms of what Joe Scarborough said, and again, I'm going to say this because I want you to be clear. Joe Scarborough didn't say anything that Eric didn't already know, right?
Absolutely.
I was just fascinated to hear him say it. And like I said, I was on Route 46 and almost swerved my car into the middle lane. And now we have to understand, like you said, Jody, too, and I think you would agree with this, Vincent, that somewhere in some room where they were putting the show together today, Joe Scarborough was asked to go out and to deliver this message for some larger goal, which we're going to find out, right? So, but now we know, for those who might have been in denial, right, about this relationship between you and Democratic Party, that Democratic Party has been suppressing your vote far worse than and intimidating you far worse than what they're doing in Georgia and what they proposed and what they passed. Right? So I want you to at least, become more critical in your thinking about it as we move forward through this thing. And as the days tick on and we continue to ask the question, what is the ROI? What is the return on our investment in Joe Biden? And then who are all of the people that told us to go and invest in that? And then how are we holding them accountable? Thank you guys for tuning in. It's 60-some degrees outside, man, so I'm going to go out and enjoy it. Thank you guys. I think we had a spirited conversation, and I can't wait. I think, you know what, maybe I won't, because I kind of enjoyed this, Jody, so maybe I'll leave MSNBC in the car. I can't bear to look at them, but maybe I can multitask and drive and listen to them. All right, so maybe that's what we'll do.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, guys. Love you all. Stay safe. Continue to put your masks on, socially distance, because they said that these variants are a real danger. Oh, Vincent, tomorrow, remind me, I want to talk about this because Joe Biden is now saying... Tomorrow. Huh? Oh, that's right.
We're shooting for the three wise ones. Yeah, consists of a pastor, an imam, and a priest. And a rabbi.
That sounds like a joke, Vincent. As a rabbi, imam, and priest.
They go into a bar.
They all go into a bar.
And the bartender says, "Is this a joke?"
And what is the conversation tomorrow?
The conversation is the pimp in the pulpit. We will have renowned sexologists and talking about why men cheat and why is it so prevalent for men and the cloth
to cheat.
Yes.
Power.
It spreads a lot further and a lot more than what people have been getting on the news. In fact, it's been going on for a long, long time. And we need to get some insight to it so that it can end and we can get some understanding.
Well, I think it's, I'm going to give I think it's power, right? I think it's, there's some other things attached to it, but at the end of the day, it's power, right? And, and that sense of power. I don't think it's about sex. I think it's about power.
I don't want to give away the show because I would love for everybody to catch it after the Eric Dawson show. It'll be on Facebook and on Roku. But it is a lot to deal with. You will find that power has another underlying motive or active ingredient that really causes men to cheat. But not only that, it is the simple fact that a lot of women are attracted to the power.
Yeah, but just because a woman, well, we'll get into and we'll have a conversation about because I'm going to watch the show too. But no matter, it doesn't matter what the woman is attracted to. It's the fact that he goes and he does it, and why does he do it? Even if somebody's attracted to me, doesn't mean I'm attracted to them or that I succumb to whatever that is. But make sure you guys tune in.
That's all a part of it, and finding out why people succumb to it and why people do it.
All right, it's going to be a great